How are you in this moment? Something I'm calling and recalling to myself often is my therapist calling me in and saying, when are you going to start doing the work that you do with your clients on yourself? Doing the work. Yesterday, I posted 10 self-soothing strategies. And for someone that their response to trauma is to numb, that is a calling in for me, that is a reminder for me in those practices. And so many of us with intersecting identities, our survival apparatus is often too numb. This world will have us numbing ourselves. And my firm belief is this election, this entire process has been a manifestation of the numbing that has been the machinery of this world that allows us to dehumanize ourselves when we witness the dehumanization all around us, that we can tell ourselves a story to allow that dehumanization to not impact our lives. But what I'm here to say is, and what I'm here to lift up are my children. Yesterday, having a really, really hard conversation with my 21-year-old and how she feels about Palestine, about the genocide, and allowing her the space to honor her humanity as she shares what she's feeling in this current moment on the tip of the election. And what I notice is, as a geriatric millennial, we are raised by a generation that it's like, work 10 times as hard, put your head down, it don't impact you, play the game, keep it moving. And we still have those remnants, if we're being honest with ourselves in this generation, where it doesn't impact us, we will numb ourselves, we will get inundated with work and productivity, and that makes us successful and belong, and it doesn't. What I appreciate about our youth is that they have a level of critical consciousness that they are developing at such a younger age, in part because what I believe is that they have social media. Their access to the media is readily available, good or bad. But they are able to look at the world, the entire world, not just the little myopic view that we have here in America, and see the devastation and the hurt and the dehumanization and the savagery that's happening across our globe. And if you can bear witness to that as a youth, while you're developing, while you're being curious, this curiosity that we have, that we had, when I look at my 9-year-old, we think about a little kid, I talk about being a perpetual toddler, because they're always asking questions, trying to make sense of the world. So if you're asking yourself these questions in your developmental period, and you're witnessing what is nonsensical, how do you make sense of that? These youth are calling us to more. So as she's sharing and navigating, and I'm holding space for that. And what it does is it gives me permission to do the same. We, as human beings, have to start being humans. Have to not live this bifurcated life where we can numb ourselves to the despair and tragedy and savagery happening in the world. And our youth in particular are calling us to more. So wherever you fall in this election, the despair that you're feeling as I'm on my phone and my text messages are coming and people checking on me, and I love my community for checking on me. How can you be in community with those who are calling us to imagine a world as it should be, as what's written in the Constitution, but really living that out loud? Talk about being values aligned, y'all. They're calling us to be aligned with our values and our actions to be aligned with that. They're calling us to be more. And that requires us to be fully human. So yesterday I posted 10 different self-soothing strategies. And if I'm being honest in this moment, that I had to wake up to the despair that my daughters are feeling as they're navigating this world with their intersecting identities of being Black girls and Black women, and me being a Black woman in this world, and what the world constantly shows what they think about Black women. And also to know that what lives inherently inside of me, and the love and the promises of God and my ancestors who survived in a world that told them they weren't even human, more explicitly than we're being told now. I still honestly believe that the world is continuing to tell us that. And it is our job to not believe the lie, to not play into this theatrics of we can look at politics as just in the moment, the election season, but to call our country to more. So as our youth are calling us to more, how does it give us permission to call this world to more? Those who are committed to leading, but leading from a place that is values aligned, leading from a place where they can fully unpack their humanity so that they can see ours. My baby weeping this morning, my 9-year-old weeping in my arms, that she understands the world for what it could be, but to see how our adults continue to fail globally, continue to fail the promises that we try to tell our youth are possible. So in this moment of despair, in this moment of some collective grieving, some collective celebrating, ask yourself, how am I showing up in my humanity? How am I allowing myself to not numb myself, to tell myself a story that is excluding entire bodies of people? So if you are an inspiring ally, if you are an educator, if you're a school psychologist like me, if you are a parent, how do you hold our babies close as they're navigating being in the school system today? How do you hold yourself close? Here's what I'm doing. Literally holding myself. Literally saying, I'm here for you. As I get out of shallow breathing, as I come back into my body, recognizing at times it might be too much to feel, and I can numb, I can disassociate for a little bit, but I will not dehumanize myself, and I will allow myself to feel. And my children are calling me to feel, are calling me to not over-intellectualize this, but are calling me to be a better human, to not dehumanize other people. Elections come and go. We are now going to feel the brunt and the impact of this. The biggest thing for me in this current moment is looking at my babies and still seeing the promise, and still emboldening them to know who they truly are when the world says differently. It's a lie. And I am calling on us to wake up to the truth. Calling on us to wake up to the truth. And I encourage you to practice what you need to practice today. That is, I am here for you. That is holding yourself. If it is a grounding practice, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. Get back in your body. Also recognizing that being in your body, might be too much. So what do you do to honor you in these moments? Movement, swaying, dancing, singing, stretching, honoring this body that's housing you. Another thing I find myself doing is, it looks ridiculous, y'all. But because I have that hamster wheel on my chest, it runs around in my chest, that disrupts that feeling. Sometimes I'm like, ugh. Some people, it is literally feeling the vibrations through your body. What does that do to calm you and bring you back to the awe and wonder and the miracle of you? Whether it is box breathing, 4 in, 4 out, and holding those breaths for a count of 4, out for 4. I'm recalling what I put on my slides, my post, the neutral focus. We were doing this morning, particularly with my 9-year-old, asking her how she's going to navigate the day. And I imagine when we were in Hawaii, there was a Qigong practitioner, and she helped us remember that we have like Edward Scissorhands. So imagine you have Edward Scissorhands and you're pulling up. See if I can stand up, if you can see what I'm doing. But you're standing up and you're pulling, going back and forth in your body, and you're pulling up everything, and you're putting it in your chi energy. And you start out big, and she's pulling it in. I've never done an Eastern practice. But as you're pulling these things up from the ground, these things of trauma, of ancestral wounds, of pain, of despair, you're not judging those things. They just are. And what she said, and it makes me think of Adrienne Maree Brown and other people that talk about the great alchemy that we are, the alchemist that we are, that you're pulling that energy inward. And as you swirl around, that energy, that chi, as a Christian, Jesus be a fence all around me every day. Come on, Fred Hammond. That energy, I imagine as supernatural light with a big L. That chi energy, you ever see like light and filtering and it looks like these beautiful luminescent globes? I imagine that flowing in me. So as I'm breathing in, so I bring some of that chi practice in, but I also imagine the neutral part of my body. And right now, there might not be that many. I'm trying to locate one. It's definitely not here. My shoulders are hunched up. This earlobe. If I focus my energy on that earlobe, I imagine that there are nostrils. Sounds wild. Nostrils here, my nostrils here. As I'm breathing in, that air flows to my chi energy, to my diaphragmatic breathing. And that celestial, supernatural light that flows, that God light that is flowing. On that inhale, it is gravitating to that area. On the exhale, it is literally flowing through my body, through every corpuscle and vein. That light will radiate because it's ancestral, it is God-given, and nothing and no one and no election will take that away. Yes, will I have moments? Oh yeah, because I'm human. I'm not perfect. But recalling that and feeling that and being in my body reminds me, of the inherent love. And that's what we are called to. So I think about, if you're a journaler, one of the things I'm coming back to, I was talking to my older one, is that she has developed practices that she doesn't even realize are helping her navigate her anxious moments. What do we do? Think about solution-focused therapy to support ourselves in these moments. And it might not look like any of those 10 things I shared with y'all. There are things that we do. Some of them are maladaptive. I'm not calling us to be maladaptive. I'm not calling you to smoke, to drink, to eat, although I do have a whole bag of hot tamales that I may or may not eat the entire bag of. But thinking about what are the practices you do to ground yourself that you might not even recognize, thinking about, and I'm skipping ahead to that last practice about ancestral visualization and honoring those who came before us, thinking about how I talked about going to Charleston, South Carolina, and being on the shores of Sullivan's Island, and what I felt, the very felt sense of the ancestors. 40% of enslaved Africans came to that shore, and most likely they were my ancestors. Thinking about what I felt, not all trauma and despair, but the resilience and the strength that is inherent and within us. Those ancestors that survived, that same thing, that survival apparatus is inside of me. And a lot of that is joy. A lot of that is faith. A lot of that is a reclamation of the truth of who we are, and not what this world wants us to be. A lot of that is that I am here, that I belong in a world that tries so hard to erase us. How do we recall that? How do you call on the things that you use to support your well-being? What are you saying to yourself to support you in this moment? And whatever that might be. And some of it, you have to express that anger if you're feeling the anger, that despair. I believe that all of us should be in a moment of grieving, regardless of where the party line fell. It is a grieving for how we have gotten to this point in the country, in the history that has been perpetuated to get us to this point. And if we don't heal those wounds, we will continue to produce the same thing. And in this very new nation, we are seeing the results of that in real time. So what are you telling yourself? I'm grounded. I'm not alone. I'm worthy of care. As a Black woman who is just beginning to understand that my needs deserve to be nourished, and that cape is not saving any of us. Well, I'll take that back. It has saved a great multitude of us on the backs of us. But what it's doing to Black women in particular is a slow and painful death. So as we put that cape aside and we honor our humanity and the worthiness of having our needs met, and the basic need of feeling safe and supported and seen, how do you honor that today? How can you be in community today? I'm so grateful for my community and checking in and holding space and naming what they need. If that is, I called off work today, I can't do it. I'm laying in bed today, I can't do it. What is it that you need? And it's giving you, again, permission to do the same. As my friends and my family articulate what they're feeling, we hold space. We allow that to be. We don't judge it. We hold space. We allow that to permeate our hearts and think about what that means for us and how we're navigating and the stories we're telling ourselves. It creates an expansiveness to have a different story and a different vision of the world, and also to see the humanity in other people and honor the humanity in yourself. Who can you be in community with today that will honor your humanity, that will see you fully and wholly and love you in whatever space you're in the moment? And again, that ancestral future dreaming, to freedom dream a world where we are all liberated. I'm telling you, y'all, if you are not in conversation with our youth, you are missing out on a fundamental aspect and the permission that can be help you to freedom dream. Our youth are not unapologetic about it. Thinking about Afrofuturism and how we think about the future, our ancestors had to do that and had to imagine that in a world that told them they weren't even human. Thinking about my ancestors. And they said, that's a lie. That's a lie. And when I can envision a liberated world, my God, what does that look like? And I won't be too long in despair, because that leaves me boxed in a myopic view of what is possible. Do not lose your vision. Do not lose your hope. Lean into our youth, who are the visionaries. Lean into what you know about our ancestors and how they have visioned a different future, and how we are being called to more in this moment. Regardless of how the election turned out, in this moment we are being called to more. The movement work begins, continues, so that we can honor who we say we are as a nation and say, y'all, do better. Those values are not aligned. We are completely misaligned. Show me. Show me. How do we call this nation to more? How do we call ourselves to be fully human? How do you honor whatever you're feeling in this moment? I honor you. Appreciate y'all. That's where I'm at.